challenge in half an hour after the return of Mastermind.
In the spotlight tonight is Susan Swan from Staines, a financial analyst, and her subject is Tottenham Hotspur. Chris Andrews from Brighton, an insurance officer, and his subject, the Alan Clark Diaries. Damien McKerney from County Tyrone, a scientist, and his subject is the history of the electric guitar. And John Burke from Faversham, a postman, his subject, the medieval abbeys and priories of England. Hello, I'm John Humphreys and welcome to a new series of Mastermind, still television's toughest quiz. This is our 30th series, and although an awful lot has changed since Nancy Wilkinson became the first champion, the rules of Mastermind remain the same. 2 minutes on the specialist subject and 2 minutes on general knowledge. That's all they get, so let's get on with it and ask our first contender to join us, please. And your name is?
Susan Swan.
Your occupation?
I'm a financial analyst.
And your chosen subject?
The history of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Tottenham Hotspur in 2 minutes, starting now. Which former captain of Tottenham Hotspur said the game is about glory, about going out and beating the other lot, not waiting for them to die of boredom?
Danny Blanchflower.
Yes. Which team did Tottenham play for the first time on the 19th of November 1887, though the match was abandoned 15 minutes from time because of bad light?
Royal Arsenal.
Yes. Who scored the penalty that beat QPR in the 1982 FA Cup final replay?
Glenn Hoddle.
Correct. From which brewery did the club lease the land for their new ground at White Hart Lane in 1899?
Charrington's.
Correct. Who scored his first goal for Tottenham in November 2006 during their first league victory over Chelsea for 16 years?
Pass.
At which ground did they win the 1901 FA Cup final replay against Sheffield United to become the only team from outside the Football League to win the Cup?
Burton Park.
Yes. What name was given to the style of play that was introduced by Arthur Rowe and helped the club win their first league championship in 1950-51?
Push and run.
Correct. Which striker became the club's first £1 million signing when he was bought from Manchester City in 1988?
Paul Stewart.
Yes. Tottenham were playing in which competition when their goalkeeper Pat Jennings scored with a clearance from his own penalty area that bounced over Alex Stepney's head?
The 1967 Charity Shield.
Yes. What was the name of the property developer who became chairman in '83 and floated the club on the stock market?
Irving Scholar.
Yes. Which song about a Tottenham defender reached number 14 in the charts when it was released to coincide with the '73 League Cup final?
Nice One Cyril.
Yes. In '94, which of their former captains served as caretaker manager after the departure of Ossie Ardiles and before the arrival of Jerry Francis?
Steve Perryman.
Yes. By what score did Spurs defeat Atletico Madrid in the '63 Cup Winners' Cup final to become the first English team to win a European trophy?
5-1.
Yes. Gary Mabbott, who captained the team to victory in the '91 FA Cup final, suffered from which medical condition during his playing career?
Diabetes.
Yes. During the 60-61 season, Tottenham set the record for the most league goals by any side in the top division since the war. How many did they score?
115.
Yes. Who saved 2 penalties to win the 1984 UEFA Cup final?
Tony Parks.
Yes. Which inside forward won the FA Cup as a player with Tottenham in 1921, later as manager with Charlton Athletic?
Pass.
Since 1950, what's the only season that the club has spent outside the top division of English football?
1977-78.
Yes. Who scored 36 goals? I've started, so I'll finish for Tottenham in the 1930-31 season to set a record that wasn't beaten until Jimmy Greaves scored 1 more in the 62-63 season.
Bobby Smith.
No, Ted Harper. You had 2 passes. Jimmy Seed was that inside forward, and Michael Dawson scored his first goal in 2006, etc. 2 passes. Susan Swan, 16 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Chris Andrews.
Your occupation?
Insurance officer.
And your chosen subject?
The Alan Clark Diaries.
The Alan Clark Diaries in 2 minutes, starting now. What subtitle was given to the second published volume of Alan Clark's Diaries, which covered the period from 1972 to 1982?
Into politics.
Correct. Which MP does Clark describe as a golf ball and a shifty little bureaucrat?
William Hague.
Yes, Clark describes the 7th of March 1974 as a fabulous day of lingering euphoria and luxuriation in being an MP. For which constituency had he recently been elected?
Plymouth Sutton.
Yes. In March 1977, in one of the many entries concerning his health, he complains that he is so low on what, adding that a beautiful new girl would put that right.
Pass.
Clark's first government appointment was as Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State in which department?
The Department of Employment.
Yes, which birds did he keep as pets and describe as magic birds that carry reincarnatory powers?
Jackdaws.
Yes, in June 1983, the Cabinet Secretary asked Clark which person in the Commons he admired the most. What was his answer?
Dennis Skinner.
Yes, by what collective name does he refer to Valerie Harkness and her daughters Josephine and Alison, with all three of whom he allegedly had affairs?
The Coven.
Yes, in April 1984, which fellow MP does he describe as a podgy life insurance risk?
Kenneth Clark.
Yes, Clark told the Times sketch writer Frank Johnson that he believed what to be the ideal system. It was a disaster for the world that it was extinguished.
The Nazis.
Yes, in April 1977, who did Clark describe as China blue, almost too textbook sincere, no intimacy?
Margaret Thatcher.
Yes, what's the name of Clark's house in Zermatt from where Allen wrote his earliest diary entry in February 1972?
The Chalet Caroline.
Correct. In July 89, Clark told Mrs. Thatcher that he could not work with which former boss again, saying he's too ghastly.
Tom King.
Yes, in an entry dated the 15th of May 1983, to what was Clark referring when he said, so what does it matter where it was when it was hit?
The General Belgrano.
The sinking of the Belgrano, yes. Who was the defence counsel at the Matrix Churchill trial to whom Clark made the now infamous confession that he'd been economical with the actuality?
Mr. Cameron.
Geoffrey Robertson. Clark made his maiden parliamentary speech during a debate on which subject that was local to his Saltwood home?
The Channel Tunnel.
The Channel Tunnel it was. You had one pass. Testosterone he complained about being low on. One pass. Chris Andrews, 14 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Damien McKerney.
Your occupation?
Scientist.
And your chosen subject?
The history of the electric guitar since 1952.
The electric guitar in 2 minutes, starting now. Which guitar designed by Leo Fender and Freddie Tavares was launched in 1954?
Fender Stratocaster.
Yes, which guitar maker was often credited with making the first solid-body electric guitar designed and gave his name to the relatively simple vibrato system that's still widely used?
Paul Bigsby.
Correct. Gibson developed a modernistic range of guitars which had angular lines such as the Explorer and the Modern. What was the name of the third modernistic which was introduced in 1958?
The Flying V or V Factor.
Yes, which company took its name from the first name of its president and a word meaning sound before being taken over by Gibson in 1957?
Epiphone.
Correct. Who invented the locking tremolo that was originally fitted to Kramer guitars in the 1980s and was popularised by Eddie Van Halen?
Floyd Rose.
Yes, what was the name of the popular guitarist who endorsed Gibson's first solid-body guitar when it was launched in 1952?
Les Paul.
Yes, what nickname was given to the distinctively shaped headstock of the Fender Electric 12-string?
Hockey stick.
Yes, which two words are written in green, yellow and red on the headstock of the Bob Marley commemorative Les Paul Special, which was launched by Epiphone in 2003?
Pass.
Roger McGuinn played which manufacturer's 12-string on the Byrds' early recording of Bob Dylan's Mr. Tambourine Man?
Rickenbacker.
Yes, which guitar maker developed a model called the Marvin, which he designed in conjunction with Hank Marvin in the 1960s?
Jim Burns.
Yes, the Beatles used which model of Epiphone guitar, which was played by Paul McCartney on the recording of Ticket to Ride?
Casino.
Yes, which company was established in New York in '52 by Alfred Drong and produced a model that was endorsed by Burt Whedon?
Guild.
Yes, Cream's Tale of Brave Ulysses includes one of the earliest recorded uses of which effects device?
The wah-wah pedal.
Yes, what name was given to the fully adjustable bridge that was invented by Ted McCarthy and appeared on Les Paul models from 1954?
The Tune-o-matic.
Correct. What was the name of the low-noise pickups that were originally manufactured for the Strat Plus guitar, which was launched in 1987?
Lace sensors.
Yes. The Japanese company Hoshino Gakki adopted which Spanish name as the principal brand name of their guitars?
Ibanez.
Yes. Which British company pioneered, after it's all finished, the guitar organ in the 1960s when they combined parts of their Continental organ with a phantom guitar?
Vox.
Vox is correct. You had one pass, one love were the two words written on that headstock, the Bob Marley. That one pass, Damien McKerney, 16 points. And our final contender, please. And your name?
My name's John Burke.
Your occupation
I'm a postman.
and your chosen subject.
The medieval abbeys and priories of England.
Medieval abbeys and priories in 2 minutes starting now. Which Cistercian abbey in Surrey became the first in England when it was founded in 1128?
Waverley.
Yes. Which master mason was seriously injured in 1178 when he fell from scaffolding at Canterbury Cathedral while he was supervising the rebuilding of the choir?
William of Song.
Yeah, in the 1490s, the pretender Perkin Warbeck sought sanctuary at which abbey in Hampshire?
Bewley.
Yes. Which canons, who are also known as Norbertines, founded the abbeys at Shap, Easby and Bayham?
Premonstratensians.
Yes. In which town in Kent did King Stephen co-found a Cluniac Priory where he was buried in 1154?
Faversham.
Correct. In a medieval monastery, what were generally housed in buildings known as rear daughters?
The lavatories.
Yes. Which two-word term describes monastic houses such as the Cluniacs that were managed directly from a European mother house?
Alien priories.
Yes. In 1193, the Cistercian order was compelled to surrender an entire year's worth of wool revenue towards the payment of whose ransom?
Richard the Lionheart.
Yes. Which medieval practice was so popular among monks that Cistercians were limited to approximately 4 treatments a year?
Bloodletting.
Yeah, phlebotomy. Which North Yorkshire abbey, founded in 1131 by Walter Lespeck, was built almost 90 degrees out of the classic Cistercian east-west alignment because of its steeply sloping side?
Revo.
Yes, with very few exceptions, all Cistercian abbeys were solely dedicated to whom?
The Virgin.
Yes. Which solemn vow committed a Benedictine monk to stay in the monastic family that admitted him until his death?
Vow of allegiance.
Vowed stability. The Augustinian Priory of St Mary and St Cuthbert, which lies in a scenic setting beside the River Wharfe, is better known by what name?
Bolton Priory.
Yes. In a medieval abbey, sufferers of which disease were sheltered in the Lazar house?
Leprosy.
Yes. Which abbey was purchased by Sir Francis Drake sometime after the dissolution for £3,400?
Buckland.
Yes. The Abbot Marmaduke Hubie added a 160-foot high tower to which abbey in around 1500?
Fountains Abbey.
Yes. The lay brothers, who are particularly important to the Cistercian in the 12th and 13th century as labourers, were known by which Latin name?
Pass.
Which major Benedictine abbey in Somerset was suppressed in 1539 when the last abbot, Richard Whiting, and 2 of his monks were executed for alleged treason?
Glastonbury.
Yes. Which Cistercian house on the Isle of Wight, I'll finish the question, was the mother house to Buckland Abbey in Devon and Stanley Abbey in Wiltshire?
Quarry. Quor Abbey.
Yes, Quor Abbey. And your one pass, the lay brothers who were so important to the Cistercians, the Conversi, or Conversus. That one pass, John Burke, you have 17 points. Well, that's the end of the first round, and I can't recall a higher scoring one. Let's have a look at the scores. In 4th place with 14 points, Chris Andrews. In joint 2nd place with 16 points apiece, Susan Swan, Damien McKierney. In the lead with 17 points, John Burke. So, the general knowledge round now. What a fight this is going to be. If there is a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes get taken into account, so it might be wise not to pass, perhaps an educated guess. Let's get on with it and ask Chris Andrews to join us again, please. And the Alan Clark Diaries. I'm trying to think of something kind to say about him, but I mean, the truth is he was womanizing, drunken. You carry on.
That's very true, but probably one of the most fascinating figures
Yes.
in the last 20, 30 years.
What was it about the diaries that was so great? I suppose it was the fact that normally when people write political diaries, politicians write diaries, they're very cautious about what they say and they're always selling themselves.
Absolutely.
What a great job I did.
Clark is, you know, for all his faults, he's more than happy to present those in the diaries. And, you know, you judge the man as he writes about himself.
Exactly. He told us, amongst many other things, about his drinking, the night he got drunk when he was due to make a speech in the House of Commons.
That's right, yeah. It was Claire Short who sort of raised a point of order and said, Mr Deputy Speaker, I know you can't say that someone is drunk at the dispatch box, but I do believe he is incapable.
Right, you have 14 points in this amazingly close contest, so let's see how you do with your general knowledge. 2 minutes, starting now. In which television series does David Brent work in the Slough branch of the paper merchants Wernham Hogg?
The Office.
Yes, which Dublin stadium is hosting Irish international rugby and football matches while Lansdowne Road's refurbished during 2007?
Croke Park.
Yes. In mythology, which structure built by the Greek carpenter Appius was used in a famous act of subterfuge?
Pass.
What was the real name of the American-born propaganda broadcaster from Nazi Germany known as Lord Haw-Haw, who was hanged for treason in 1946?
William Joyce.
Yes. A Novocastrian is a native or resident of which town in New South Wales, Australia?
Melbourne.
Newcastle. In 1795, Nicolas Jacques Conté devised a mixture of clay and graphite used to this day in the manufacture of which writing implement?
Pencil.
Yes. On a plant, what name is given to the part of the carpel at the tip of the style which receives pollen during pollination?
Pass.
Which novel by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle involves an expedition to a plateau in South America inhabited by dinosaurs and other extinct creatures?
Journey to the Centre of the Earth.
The Lost World. On which Turkish peninsula did British and Allied forces land in April 1915 at the start of the so-called Dardanelles campaign?
Gallipoli.
Yes. What song title links Niles Barkley Seal and Patsy Cline?
Crazy.
Yes. Which part of a pig is served stuffed in the Italian dish zamponi, meaning big paw?
Trotters.
Yes. Mohammed Yunus and his Grameen Bank won the 2006 Nobel Peace Prize for their work in bringing microfinance to which Asian country?
Pass.
Which 1999 film based on a novel by Chuck Palahniuk stars Brad Pitt as the soap salesman Tyler Durden and Edward Norton as a nameless insomniac?
Fight Club.
Yes. Glass snakes resemble snakes but are actually what type of reptile?
Pass.
Which word for an upheaval or a large-scale and violent event in the natural world comes from the Greek for flood?
Pass.
The Pentland Hills are a narrow range extending about 15 miles southwest from the edge of which city?
Edinburgh.
Yes. Robert de Board's 1997 book Counselling for Toads is a pastiche, and is the question, of which children's classic novel?
Wind in the Willows.
Wind in the Willows is correct. You had 5 passes. The word for an upheaval is cataclysm. Glass snakes are actually lizards. Bangladesh is where Mohammed Yunus lived and did his work. Stigma is the bit of the plant that's at the tip of the style. And it was the wooden horse, the Trojan wooden horse in mythology, built by Epeus. So there we are, 5 passes. Chris Andrews, 24 points. And now Susan Swan, please. I suppose you're allowed to be such a fan of Tottenham Hotspur as a woman, are you?
Absolutely.
It wasn't at one time. Well, it sort of was.
It was a little less usual a few years ago. In fact, I was at a Euro 96 match as a football fan, and a male fan asked me what I was doing there. And then he said, "You're a woman." 10 out of 10 for
spotted,
observation,
yeah.
but it was rather unusual.
Right, now the other thing about you that's unusual is you're a blue badge guide,
That's
which
right.
takes
yes,
quite a
I
lot
am.
of getting.
You train for 2 evenings a week and every Saturday for 2 years, and you have to take a series of written exams and also a series of practical exams, taking groups around London sites.
You've got to know an awful lot about everywhere, really.
Yes, you really have to know quite a lot about history and architecture and basically have a broad brush knowledge of many things, yes.
Right, well, you have 16 points, so I don't need to remind you how close this contest is. So, let's see how you do with your general knowledge. 2 minutes, starting now. After which English monarch was the American state of Virginia named?
Elizabeth I.
Yes, in which sport have international women's teams competed for the Federation Cup, now known as the Fed Cup, since '63?
Tennis.
Yes, the sculptor Mitzi Cunliffe, who died in 2006, is best known for which mask-shaped award created for the Guild of Television Producers in 1955?
The BAFTA.
Yes, in the Roman Catholic Church, on which day of the year does the service take place where the priest washes the feet of 12 people, commemorating Christ's washing of the disciples' feet?
Maundy Thursday?
Yes, who wrote the 2006 novel Queen Camilla and the 92 novel The Queen and I, in which the royal family are exiled to a council estate?
Pass.
Which actor, better known for his role in Star Trek, played the disguise expert Paris in the television series Mission Impossible?
Leonard Nimoy?
Yes, the name of which former Inca stronghold in Peru means Old Peak?
Pass.
In November 1917, who as Foreign Secretary made a declaration to Lord Rothschild favouring the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people?
Balfour?
Yes, which French word is now widely used in English to mean a thick soup?
Potage.
Yes, which American actor made his West End stage debut as Nathan Detroit in Guys and Dolls in July 2006?
Pass.
What is the common decorative name of the orange and black butterfly Vanessa Cardui, generally reckoned to be the most widespread butterfly in the world?
Red Admiral?
Painted Lady. Which Wiltshire village is surrounded by Britain's largest stone circle?
Salisbury.
Avebury. In classic mythology, what's the name of the beautiful statue who came to life in answer to the prayers of the sculptor Pygmalion?
Galatea.
Correct. In which film did the characters, played by Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks, arrange to meet at the top of the Empire State Building on Valentine's Day?
Sleepless in Seattle.
Yes. Which author whose works include I, Claudius and Claudius the God died in Majorca at the age of 90 in 1985?
Robert Graves.
Correct. What word can be among other things? A make of gun or a large bottle of champagne equivalent to 2 ordinary bottles?
Magnum.
Yes. Found mainly in India, the nilgi is the largest Asiatic member of which type of animals?
Lion.
Antelope. On which musical instrument was Fritz Kreisler a virtuoso performer?
Piano.
Violin. The use of what was made standard throughout Britain by the statute's definition of Time Bill of 1880, initially to coordinate railway timetables?
Greenwich Mean Time.
Greenwich Mean Time is correct. You had 3 passes. Patrick Swayze was the,
Yes.
Guys and Dolls. Machu Picchu, the former Inca stronghold. And Sue, you nearly got it, Sue Townsend.
Townsend, yeah.
Wrote Queen Camilla and all that. 3 passes. Susan Swan, 28 points.
Thank you.
And now Damien McKinney, please. Electric guitars.
Yes.
When did they start?
Well, there's been experiments done since like right back to the 20s. You had guys like taking literally the stylus from a record player and just like jabbing it into a guitar to like transmit the vibration and amplify it. Then refined to just putting pickups on acoustics.
Why? Why did they want to do it?
Well, the guitar started more or less as a rhythm instrument. It was always just following the bass and the drums, just playing chords. But as the potential of the instrument started to open up, playing single notes that couldn't be heard above the dance bands of the time in the 20s and 30s, so they looked for ways just to amplify it.
On the other hand, it survived, the guitar, hasn't it? Because you
has,
might
yeah.
have thought it would have died out after they came in with keyboards and things like that.
Yeah, I think there's just something about the sound of it, because it all comes down to just a finger against a string. There's that human touch to it. It has a vocal element to it. 2 people could pick up the same guitar
And get a
play the
different
same
sound.
thing, but it would sound totally differently.
Right, well, you got 16 points with your knowledge of them. 28 is the score to beat as we speak. Let's see if you can do it with your general knowledge. What is Rocky's surname in the film starring Sylvester Stallone?
Balboa,
Yes, named after a Mexican city, the jalapeno plant is a variety of which spicy fruit?
chili pepper,
Yes, which New Zealand-born vocalist's first UK #1 single was Gotta Get Through This in 2001?
Daniel Bedingfield,
Yes, in ancient Rome, the father of Caesarion is alleged to have been Julius Caesar. Who was his mother?
pass,
Which British explorer began his seafaring career in 1746 when he was apprenticed to John Walker, a Whitby ship owner?
Charles Darwin,
Captain Cook, which notorious graffiti artist created the sculpture Ballerina with Action Man parts?
Banksy,
Yes. What name derived from a 10th century king of Denmark is given to the technology which allows wireless communication between mobile phones, laptop computers or digital cameras?
Bluetooth,
Correct. Which Briton was chosen in 2006 to drive with Fernando Alonso for the McLaren Mercedes Formula One team?
Jenson Button,
Lewis Hamilton. In the Peanuts cartoons, which bold, brash tomboy used to call Charlie Brown Chuck?
pass,
What term for a thickened underground stem that enables a plant to store food comes from the Greek for onion, a reference to its appearance?
tuber,
Bulb. Which entertainment empire was founded in 1984 by a group of street performers who decided to reinvent the circus?
Cirque du Soleil,
Yes. What's the name of the central banking authority of the United States?
Federal Reserve,
Yes. In December 2002, David Snedden became the first winner of which BBC television programme that aimed to find and educate new musical talent?
Fame Academy,
Correct. Who wrote the novel Notes on a Scandal, which was adapted as a 2006 film starring Judi Dench and Kate Blanchett?
pass,
In India, which general term from a Sanskrit word meaning accomplish is given to any religious, ascetic, swami or saintly holy man?
Guru,
Sadhu. The disease Texas fever mainly affects which animals?
cattle,
Yes. Who succeeded Sir John Stevens as Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police in February 2005?
pass,
In human anatomy, what name is given to a muscle whose contraction moves a limb or other part of the body towards the midline of the body? Take a guess.
contracting,
Well, why not? But it isn't. It's the adductor muscle. That's what it is. And your other passes, Sir Ian Blair took over from John Stevens. Zoe Heller wrote Notes on a Scandal. It was Peppermint Patty who called Charlie Brown Chuck. And Cleopatra was Caesarion's mother. 4 passes. Damien McKinney, 25 points. And finally, John Burke. Your prodigious knowledge of medieval abbeys and priories. How come?
They've always been an interest of mine. I mean, I've visited them since I was a small child, as many people do. I mean, they're amazing structures. It's unfortunate that Henry VIII managed to smash most of them down.
Well, he actually smashed them, because he looted them, of course, but I didn't realise that he actually smashed them.
Yeah, the Jervaux Abbey, for instance, the abbey was blown up, as an example.
Is it too late now to restore any of them, or should we not restore them, just leave the ruins as they are?
Well, I did think at the millennium, instead of building the dome, it would have been nice if we could have maybe restored, for instance, Kirkstall Abbey in Leeds, which basically just needs a roof. And you'd have had the only one in England, a complete Cistercian Abbey again, which would have been nice as a monument. These places were the powerhouses of the British economy for 400 or 500 years in the Middle Ages, and there's not one surviving.
You could have done more than one abbey for the cost of the dome, I suspect.
Yeah.
How sad, as you say. Anyway, you have 17 points and 28 is the score to beat. Still, let's see if you can do it. General knowledge, 2 minutes, starting now. Which dance in 3/4 time was popularised in 19th century Vienna by the Strauss family?
The waltz.
Yes. Which battle lasted from the 1st of July to 18th of November 1916, resulting in over 1 million people killed or injured for an Allied advance of about 7 miles?
The Battle of the Somme.
Yes. In Scottish folklore, Selkie is a human on land but takes the form of which marine mammal in the sea?
A seal.
Yes. Who was voted Greatest Britain in a BBC poll of the same name in November 2002?
Winston Churchill.
Yes. Which vegetable, normally a deep purple colour, is stuffed with onions for the Turkish dish imam bayildi, meaning the priest fainted?
Aubergine.
Yes. In 1933, Ivan Bunin became the first writer from which country to win the Nobel Prize for Literature?
Ivory Coast.
Russia, Soviet Union. What national symbol of America is Samuel Wilson, a businessman from New York State, frequently said to be the inspiration for?
Uncle Sam.
Yes. Which member of the royal family has been president of the British Olympic Association since 1983 and a member of the International Olympic Committee since 1988?
Princess Anne.
Yes. Which 2006 film, directed by Mel Gibson, deals with the end of the Mayan civilization and is performed in a Mayan dialect?
Oh, gosh. Blood and Passion.
Apocalypto. What is the name of the headland at the northwest extremity of Scotland that is one of the few British place names with the prefix Cape?
Cape Rough.
Yes. Near which European city did Charles Lindbergh land on 21st of May 1927 at the end of his historic transatlantic flight?
Paris.
Yes. Which George Harrison song returned to the top of the charts in January 2002, 2 months after his death?
Something in the way she moves.
My Sweet Lord. Who first came to popular attention with his novel Billy Liar?
Pass.
Which French painter's works include the Gleaners and the Angelus, 2 of the most reproduced paintings of the 19th century?
Manet.
Millet. Whose jazz orchestra had Take the A Train as one of its signature tunes?
Ted Heath.
Duke Ellington. What common name for the swallow-like bird Riparia riparia comes from the terrain where it builds its nests?
House Martin.
Close. Sand martin. You had 1 pass. Billy Liar, Keith Waterhouse. John Burke, you have 26 points. Well, what a contest. Let's have a look at the scores. In 4th place with 24 points, Chris Andrews. In 3rd place with 25 points, Damon McKierney. In 2nd place with 26 points, John Burke. In 1st place with 28 points, Susan Swan. Which means, of course, that Susan Swan goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to her. Do join us next week for more Masterminds. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. To find out more about tonight's specialist subjects, do log on to www.bbc.co.uk/mastermind.
The return of University Challenge next tonight, then Indian food made easy on BBC Two in a new series at 8:30.